The sportsbooks want you emotional and dumb because that's how they win. But once I learned to think like them, to flip the script and exploit the same math they use to bleed casuals dry, I started pulling consistent profit. I wasn't chasing six-leg heaters like a parlay princess, and I definitely wasn't buying picks from some TikTok kid named LockDaddy69. I built a system, the same one sharp bettors use to steal money from the sportsbooks every single day. Now this strategy works, but if you do this right, you become dangerous. So dangerous that sportsbooks will limit you and try to ban you. So today, I'm breaking down the 7 principles that took me from just another degenerate to someone who stopped donating his rent money to fund the book's private jet fuel. But let's talk about principle 1, because this one's huge. Most people try to win their way to profit, but the smartest bettors start by learning how to lose on purpose. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man, once said, "All I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I never go there." It's like designing an airplane by asking what would make this crash instantly. You'd skip the wings, overload the engines, maybe let a toddler do the wiring. Obviously, you'd never build that plane. But that list is your blueprint for what to never do. And the same idea applies to sports betting. You don't start by asking, how do I win? You ask, how would I guarantee I lose money over the long run? This principle is known as inversion thinking, and it's what all the sharks do. They eliminate losing behaviors first. They don't do parlays, they don't chase losses or wager half their bankroll. They don't join crappy Discord servers and copy pics from fake gurus with anime profile pictures. And once they cut out all the losing habits, what's left are actions that will actually make them a profitable bettor. But if you're trying to take this seriously, you can't go at this alone. Being around disciplined bettors who actually track their plays and treat this like a business is what takes you to the next level. So I'm building a private community where that's the norm. We don't talk about picks or any of that crap. It's all about following proven systems that work long term. If that sounds like your kind of room, I'll drop a link in the description for you to check out how you can join. But principle 2 changes the game. Here's why. This is where most bettors go completely wrong. They're betting on teams, not numbers. And that's killing their edge. I was at a UFC watch party when Usman fought Leon Edwards. One of my boys was glazing Usman all day, talking like it was his actual boyfriend. No way he loses. He's untouchable. Lock of the year. He dumped $1,000 on Usman at -400, all in on the favorite. And for 24 minutes, he looked like a genius. Usman was dominating. But then, in the last few seconds of the fight, head kick. Lights out. My friend didn't talk for an hour. Every bet is either positive EV or negative EV. That's it. If you're backing someone just because you think they'll win and ignoring the price, you will lose money in the long term. But moving on to principle 3, and it might be the most important one yet. You can have a winning edge and still go broke unless you know how to size your bets with surgical precision. I remember this one game, Juventus were playing some bottom table Serie A team. They were like -105, which looked like insane value for a top club. And I was so confident I went all in like a degenerate. Literally, my entire bankroll. But what I didn't know was that Juventus already won the league. So they rolled out their bench and half the squad looked hungover. The game ended in a 1-1 draw and I was pissed. This is why bankroll management is required if you want to make a living from sports betting. And a lot of advanced bettors use the Kelly criterion to figure out their unit sizing. The Kelly criterion basically helps you size your bets based on how much edge you have. The bigger your edge, the bigger the bet. Now, full Kelly tells you the theoretical max you should bet based on your edge, but it's aggressive and a bit risky. That's why most sharp bettors use half or quarter Kelly instead. But quarter Kelly usually lands somewhere in the 1 to 2% range. So I personally just stick to 1 to 2% per bet rather than busting out the calculator like a nerd every time I see a line I like. But speaking of being a nerd, you actually do need to track your bets. I know, spreadsheets aren't sexy, but if you're not tracking, you have no idea what's working and what's leaking. It's like trying to lose weight without ever stepping on a scale. That's why I built a free bet tracker. It tracks every unit, helps you spot patterns, and shows where your edge is actually coming from. I'll drop a link in the description if you want to grab it. Now, when you get to principle 4, here's what most people miss. If you can hear the reason on ESPN, it's already priced into the line. This is where sharp bettors stop playing checkers. I still remember this game on the final day of the 2016 Premier League season. Newcastle versus Spurs. Newcastle were already relegated. They were at the bottom of the table, and everyone was saying the same thing. Newcastle have nothing to play for. They won't show up. Meanwhile, Spurs were trying to lock in second place, and people were calling it free money. Like, how could they lose to a team that's already down? But I'm a Newcastle fan, so when we smashed them 5-1, even after going down to 10 men, I was losing it. My friend who supports Spurs, he wasn't laughing. But that's the problem with narratives. They sound good, but they don't hold value. Must-win game is not real analysis, it's just noise. And the books are already a step ahead because that story you're betting on is already priced in. So here's a pro tip. If you want to make a profit, just do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. And betting against the narrative is one of those things. Which takes us to principle 5. And this is the difference between casual betting and serious profit. Thinking in yes or no outcomes is like using a coin flip to build a business. This step rewires how real bettors see risk. So let me show you how to actually make a profit. Let's say a sportsbook offers plus 300 odds on a team, but the real odds should be closer to plus 200. With plus 300 odds, that gives you a 25% chance to win. And plus 200 implies a 33% chance. So if you take that bet at plus 300, you're getting paid more than you should be. That's a positive expected value bet. Now yeah, you'll lose most of the time, it's an underdog. But let's say you bet $100 on that line 10 times. Team wins 3 out of 10, you make $900, lose $700, and make a net profit of $200. And this is exactly why DraftKings tries to limit your account, because now you're no longer donating money to fund their beachfront vacation home. And if enough of us start doing this, the bookies will really start sweating. That's why I'm building a private community. It's an inner circle full of people who take this seriously, who track, share edges, and treat it like a business. So if you're tired of betting alone or losing alone, come sharpen your game with people who actually win. I'll drop the link in the description if you want in. But principle 6 is where things start to click. If you're judging results by weekends instead of seasons, you're thinking like a gambler, not an investor. It's kind of like going to the gym. You don't show up once, hit a few sets, and walk out with abs. But if you train consistently, eat right, and stay disciplined, that slow progress compounds. And the same principle applies here. You're not looking to hit a 6-leg heater or win the lottery. You're stacking 3 to 5% positive EV bets every single day. Yes, it's super boring, but over time, it starts to compound. Let's say you start with a $5,000 bankroll. You stick to 1% bet sizing, take 5 good bets a day, and only hit bets with a 3% edge. It doesn't feel like much at first, and after a year, you're only up $3,000. But if an investment gave you 60% ROI, you'd be super happy about it, right? Now fast forward a few years, and the compounding kicks in hard. By year 6, you're sitting at $10,000 a month. And by year 10, you've cracked $1 million. Small positive expected value bets, stacked over time, will make you crazy rich. But if principle 7 doesn't make you rethink everything, nothing will. Most bettors are out here chasing picks, scrolling Twitter, waiting for some guy to say, max unit heater incoming. But the sharpest bettors, they're not chasing anything. They're building systems. Think about it like a quant fund. They're not debating who's going to win. They build models, they find angles, they run data, they automate, and once the edge is real, they scale it. That's how pro bettors operate. It's not emotional, it's not sexy, but it works. Now obviously not everyone's building full-on models right away. But here's where you start. Pick one edge you trust, maybe it's line movement or maybe it's price discrepancies. And let's say you notice that in the Premier League, certain teams consistently generate high expected goals but aren't converting, and the market underrates them the next game. That's your angle. You start betting those games. You track every result, and after 50 or 100 bets, you check the results. If it does, cool. Now you've got a system. From there, you refine it. Add filters, automate parts, scale slowly. That's how you go from guessing to printing money. Now, building edge is one thing, but knowing how to actually scale it is what separates real bettors from the rest. So watch this video next to see how I'd turn $100 into $1,000 using nothing but positive EV bets. You'll see the exact structure, how I'd size it, and what I'd avoid completely.